Namaste everyone. Hello and welcome to this special program, Vedantic Way to Happiness, with Swami Sarvapriyananda, organized by Ramakrishna Vedanta Society of North Texas. I know this is the moment we have all been waiting for days, weeks, months. But before we begin, I want to share an interesting incident related to the event. So back in January, when we were trying to look for a venue for this day, all our usual choices were surprisingly unavailable. And I remember it was March 14, Saturday. Some of us were here. We came to know of this place. We came here, looked at it, confirmed it. And the next day, March 15, Sunday, when we visited our center for the Sunday service, our eyes fell on the picture that you're going to see on the screen. And yeah, it's right here. And you're going to see October 24th, 1976. Dear friends, October 24, 1976, right here, Unity Church, Dallas. This facility was built in 1973. It was pretty new that time. And Swami Ranganathanandaji Maharaj, 13th president of our order, had delivered a talk. And we came to know of this after we had confirmed this place. So after 50 years, we are back again in this location. Blessed occasion. For the outside world, it's two terms, chance or coincidence. But in Vedanta, we know every effect has a cause attached to it, and sometimes it's hidden from us. Vedanta movement in Dallas Metroplex started way back in 1960s, when distinguished monks of our order from India, United States, as well as all over the world, they came, delivered retreats, workshops, and it continues till today. Under the spiritual guidance, vision, leadership, and inspiration of revered Swami Swahanandaji Maharaj, former head of Vedanta Society of Southern California, and with the tireless, selfless, dedicated initial founding members, on March 3rd, 2007, Ramakrishna Vedanta Society of North Texas was established. Today, we have an active and thriving center that is a spiritual home for many. We have Saturday and Sunday study circles on Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga activities, devotee speaks events. Along with that, we are also engaged in philanthropic and service activities of blanket drive, food drive, and above all, we have a Sunday school for children to introduce them to the ancient Vedantic wisdom. Some of those initial founding members are not with us anymore. Some of them are alive, but due to circumstances, age, health, they are not with us here today. But some are here with us in the auditorium. Dear friends, please join me in expressing our sincere gratitude and thanks to each and every one for the last 20 years who has made the journey possible. Thank you, it means a lot. Quick reminder, after the talk, we will have Q&A, so you should be able to queue up in the aisles, and there will be volunteers. Sincere request, keep the question short and to the point so that everybody can get a chance. Swami Sarvapriyananda needs no introduction. A renowned speaker, scholar, deep thinker, philosopher. He is loved by all. He makes Vedanta real, practical, and accessible to us. I'm sure I was telling in the morning, there are many who doesn't spend a day listening to one of his talks, even if it is for a few minutes. But today, the good thing is we don't need to click a link to listen to him. He's right here with us. Fortune magazine has recognized Swami as one of the best speakers of Vedanta in the world today. And this is something I'd like to share in front of everyone. This is not my idea. Many people believe, and Swami is right here, we haven't seen Swami Vivekananda. We have read him, we have heard about him. But if, for a moment, we have to think the Shakti, the power, in action in today's day and age, and if we have to put our visualization, our imagination for today's day and age, ladies and gentlemen, I think it will be Swami Sarvapriyananda. Swami is the resident minister and spiritual leader of Vedanta Society of New York, established in 1894 by none other than Swami Vivekananda himself. Swami joined the order in the year 1994 and received initiation from revered Srimad Swami Bhuteshanandaji Maharaj, 12th president of our order. In 2004, received sannyasa from revered Srimad Swami Ranganathanandaji Maharaj, 13th president of our order. Swami served in India across multiple Ramakrishna Mission educational institutions before coming to the US. Until 2017, Swami was assistant minister at Vedanta Society of Southern California. 2018, Swami, as part of Interfaith Harmony, delivered talk at United Nations headquarters in New York, at the World Parliament of Religions in Toronto. In October 2025, Swami met the Pope Francis at Vatican in Rome. And I can go on and on. Pope Leo, yes, Pope Leo. And I can go on and on, but the intent is to listen to Swami and not me introducing Swami on and on. So without further ado, it is my absolute pleasure and honor to welcome Swami Sarvapriyananda.
Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste and welcome to all of you. I am particularly grateful to the Ramakrishna Vedanta Society of North Texas for organizing this event and for inviting me here to speak before all of you. I'm also grateful to the Unity Church of Dallas. The Unitarian, they were the first to welcome Swami Vivekananda when he came in the late 19th century to the United States. And I think this tradition continues till today. I'm also very delighted to learn that revered Swami Ranganathanandaji, you saw on the screen just now, he actually spoke here when it was, yes, that's it. Swami Ranganathanji spoke here 50 years ago. 50 years ago exactly. At that time it was a newly constructed church, and he spoke here. And I noticed the subject is the spiritual training of the mind, which we will talk about a little bit later. I'm so happy to be here with all of you this evening. And the subject is happiness. What could be a better, a more happy subject? Vedanta recognizes that our instinct is happiness, joy, peace, fulfillment. That's what we are searching for. When you ask somebody, why are you doing something? Why are you going on a vacation? Well, because it makes me happy. But then you can't ask, why do you want to be happy? That's a very strange question to ask. Whatever we do, if you push it further and further, you see, it makes me happy. I get peace from it, joy from it, contentment from it, bliss from it, happiness from it. And then you cannot ask any further question, because it's the bottom. It's fundamental to our nature. And Vedanta would say that's very natural, because our nature is Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. That is why it is fundamental for us to want to live, because our nature is existence. Nobody wants to die. We want to live. We want to exist, continue existing. And we don't want an existence which is an unconscious existence. Yes, you will live, but you will live in a vegetative state in the intensive care unit of a hospital, in a comatose state. No, I don't want that. I want a conscious life. I want to be aware. I want to know. It's all right, you will live and you will know, but you will only know misery. You will suffer and suffer and suffer. No, I don't want that. I want to live, and I want to be conscious, and I want joy, peace, fulfillment. These are reflections of our real nature. Sat, Chit, Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. That's the proclamation of Vedanta. And Vedanta says that it is possible to attain deep, lasting, fundamental fulfillment, joy. The term used in Vedanta is Ananda, bliss. It is possible. And in fact, not only is it possible, Vedanta says that's what we are searching for. In everything that we are doing, whether we admit it or not, whether we know it or not, whether we recognize it or not, we are searching for deep, lasting fulfillment. And Vedanta says we are trying to overcome suffering, dissatisfaction, unhappiness. And Vedanta says it is possible. In Sanskrit, the words used are Ananda Prapti Dukkha Nivritti. Attainment of joy, peace, bliss, lasting, fundamental, eternal. And transcendence of sorrow, once and forever. And it is possible. Vedanta makes this big claim, huge claim. We live in an age, in the 21st century, we are very fortunate because there are these movements. For example, right now, consciousness studies is very big. And it's very nice to be in contact with people in different fields in the world who are interested in consciousness studies. Because Vedanta is the original consciousness studies. Professor Evan Thompson, in his book, Waking, Dreaming, Being, he says, consciousness studies is not a new subject. It started 5,000 years ago on the banks of the rivers in India, in the texts called the Upanishads. So thousands of years ago, consciousness studies. So that's one area which is very active, intense now. It's a big thing now. What is consciousness? If you search, it's every week, every other day. On my phone, I get articles on consciousness. What is consciousness? The mystery of consciousness. Another area which has taken off recently is something called positive psychology. So things like happiness, resilience, concentration, focus, all of these are receiving scientific scrutiny, scientific study for the first time. What do I mean by that? They have always been part of pop psychology or self-help books. Barnes and Noble, if you go there, you'll always find big section, self-help section. How to be rich, or how to be popular, or how to lose weight, or whatever. All the stuff that we want, and there are ways to do it, but often it has been non-academic, non-rigorous, sort of anecdotal. A lot of truth is there in those books, but anecdotal. But recently, in the last 25, 30 years or so, there is the rise of a branch of psychology, of a movement. I wouldn't even call it a branch. It's a movement in psychology called positive psychology. And that has started here in the United States. In fact, happiness is one of the main areas of research. Professor Seligman, I remember he's a pioneer. So Professor Seligman Martin Seligman. And his area of research was happiness. And he says in a talk, he says how it all happened. About 25, 30 years ago, he became the president of the APA, American Psychology Association. There are two APAs, American Psychiatry Association, American Psychology Association. Both have their headquarters in Washington, D.C., not too far from each other. Big bodies, very powerful bodies. Both hate each other. But they have become interested in this branch of study, this new movement, positive psychology. So in a very humorous talk, Professor Seligman, he outlined, a TED talk actually, outlined how this started. So he joked that once I was interviewed by a network, news network, and they asked me, Professor Seligman, they want to know from you, what's the state of psychology today? But remember, this is TV. In those days, TV was big. So this is TV, and you get only a sound bite. Oh, Seligman said, how many words? One word. All right. Professor Seligman, what is the state of psychology today? He said, good. No, cut, stop. You have to give us more than that. You get 2 words this time. Professor Seligman, what is the state of psychology today? Not good. So, immediately they're confused. Oh, what do you mean? Stop. What do you mean? How can it be good and not good? You have to explain more. 3 words now. It's a joke. But he said, Professor Seligman, what's the state of psychology today? And he says, not good enough. And then he goes on in that. It's a beautiful talk. He goes on to explain how psychology is good, how it is not good, and how it can be good enough. So it's good because psychology and psychiatry have learned to treat lots of mental conditions, illnesses, have categorized them, understood the symptoms, causes, methods of treatment, and so on. Some success is there. But not good enough because it can be better. He says, he asked the question, why can't psychology be of help to everybody? Why should I only have to have a mental condition or illness, then only psychology or psychiatry can help me? Suppose I don't have any big mental issue, but can't psychology help me to make my life better? As he put it, not only from going from -5 to 0, but how about going from 0 to +5? So what about the strengths, human strengths, our happiness, concentration, focus, very much needed today, resilience in the face of suffering, character, all of these things, can't psychology scientifically study that? And so he started this movement, and the position of the president of APA is very powerful actually, because they control grants and things like that. So he directed research there, and lo and behold, a new subject or a new branch of psychology was born, a movement in psychology was born. One of the areas, his own area of research, if you look it up, it's big now, it's called Authentic Happiness, there's a whole website and all. So long story short, what did they find about happiness? Let's begin there. The latest thinking, cutting-edge work on happiness, and scientifically done, academically rigorous work, being taught now. By the way, some of the most popular courses on campus, I saw at Harvard myself, and then I've read about it at Yale and other Ivy League and other colleges. Popular courses, on popular I mean, number of students turning up for those classes, are psychology courses on happiness, positive psychology courses. Hundreds of students sign up. Usually in a graduate class, I saw 10, 20, 30 students would be there. There's a very well-known psychologist, one of the leading psychologists of the world today at Harvard University, Steven Pinker. And I used to go sometimes just to attend his classes, just to see what it's like. And I was amazed to see class, regular class, a course. The classroom was an auditorium. It have several hundred students, bigger than this auditorium. It's just a classroom. How many students? Because it's positive, they want to know about the mind, and especially about the human strengths, focus, character, happiness, and so on. Anyway, let's zoom in on Seligman's work. What did they find? And what's the takeaway? This is one of the basic takeaways from today's talk. Nothing to do with Vedanta and everything to do with Vedanta. It's the beginning, the point where we take off. What did they find? His work can be summarized in this equation. I don't know if he actually used this equation or I sort of summarized it that way. I've forgotten now. H is equal to P plus E plus M. H, happiness, is P, E, M. Three things. We'll see what are they. That's what happiness is composed of, if you analyze happiness, the sources of happiness. The first, he says, is pleasure. Yes, when we want to be happy, when we are seeking happiness, our first instinct is to go for pleasure. The cookie which I like, my favorite coffee, or a walk in the park. I mean, something that is pleasurable for me, my favorite, or nowadays, most of all. Yeah. Especially the younger people, focus there all the time. That is an immediate source of pleasure, and we'll see why it is so. The source of pleasure, that gives me happiness, and it does. But the thing is, it gives me very little happiness, and it is very transient. The first lesson that we learn in economics class, diminishing marginal utility. Each unit of consumption gives you less and less and less utility. In microeconomics, the first lesson you learn. So it's not that more and more pleasure will give me, more and more units of consumption will give me more pleasure and more happiness. No, unfortunately, one problem about pleasure is it's a downward curve. It's a diminishing marginal utility. So the more units of consumption, I have one cookie, makes me happy, gives me pleasure. So 2 cookies should give me more pleasure. Well, it does, but not as much as you would think. 3, too much. 4, absolutely not. 5, it's torture. It becomes negative. It becomes, it's no longer pleasurable. It's painful after some time. So it is diminishing. Second, it is transient. It goes away very fast. Any kind of pleasure, especially sensuous pleasure, it goes away. Even things like sophisticated pleasure, like art, music, art, which we enjoy. We have to train ourselves to enjoy that. That also, it goes away very soon. It is very delicate. It's very perishable. Yes, let's put it that way. Very quickly it goes away. Third, it is habit forming, addictive. The same thing will not give you pleasure all the time. The toy which gave me pleasure, it was my whole life when I was a little kid. Second day did not give me that much pleasure. Third day, very little. Next year, when I went to a higher grade, the toy was forgotten. Today, I don't even remember the toys that I had. So, which was dearer to me than life, those toys. They're gone. So, habit forming, we need newer and newer varieties and more of that. Whatever it is that gives me pleasure. And so, it is problematic. I always quote Somerset Maugham, the great English novelist, who said, if you chase pleasure single-mindedly, you will find very soon nothing pleasing anymore. So if single-mindedly, if you're partying and chasing, trying to be happy, what are you trying to do? Happy. And what are you becoming? Unhappy. Single-mindedly chase pleasure, you will find nothing pleasing anymore. You get sick of it. Luckily, there is a better source of happiness. Seligman's, go back to Seligman's equation. H is equal to P plus E plus M. P is pleasure. Seligman says a much better source of happiness is not pleasure, but engagement. Engagement. That's what E stands for. Activity, especially work. He says if you are among those lucky few who enjoy what you do for a living, then you are very lucky, because that gives you much more happiness than mere pleasure itself. Think about it. There are adults in the room. Most of us here are adults. Maybe a few are teenagers, and nobody's a kid maybe. As adults, most of your week, most of your day, most of your week, most of our time is taken up by work, by activity, not by pleasure. How much of it is pleasure seeking? Very, very little. Most of it is by some kind of activity. And if we get happiness out of that activity, often that activity is drudgery. It's a burden. It's a duty. Vivekananda calls it the scorching sun of duty. It has to be done, unfortunately. No. If it is a source of happiness, then you are very lucky. And luckily, engagement, work, activity is a source of happiness. Seligman says, not Seligman, another positive psychologist, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, he says, surveys were done on people, when are you most happy? Most people would say, when work is over. That's what we think about work. After I finish my work, I'll be happy. When I go on the weekend, I'll be happy. When I go on vacation, I'll be happy. But Csikszentmihalyi said the studies show something very interesting. Actually, when people are engaged in work, if you survey them at that moment, they actually report high levels of satisfaction. When you're engaged at office, or you're working at home, maybe in kitchen preparing a meal, or doing your assignment in school, at that moment, if you're asked, how do you feel? You're busy. You feel, okay, I feel good. If our faculties are challenged and engaged, you feel good. You're engaged, doing something meaningful, working step by step towards an achievable goal. You feel good. That there is a goal here which I can achieve, but it will push me. I have to push myself. I have to strain myself. But I know what to do, step by step, and I can achieve that goal. And I do it day after day after day. That's work. So work does give happiness. Engagement does give happiness. And that's why people who don't like the work they do, but you can still get happiness from engagement. That's why people take up hobbies, pastimes, games. Notice, work, it may not be pleasant. Sometimes work is unpleasant. Even a sport, it may not be pleasant. It's much more pleasant to lie down on your couch and be a couch potato than to go out and play. That's a lot of hard work, especially in the Dallas heat. Oh, by the way, I didn't know this is a soccer city. Now it's a World Cup city. I didn't know that. The city is busy with the World Cup. So, how much joy is there? Who gets more joy? The one who watches the game on TV or the one who's playing on the field? The one who's engaged. And not only that, you don't have to be a world-class football or soccer player. You can just go out and play. You can be a very poor player also. But actually going out and playing gives you a different kind of happiness than sitting back and watching a World Cup match on television. That gives you a lot of excitement. But more than that is when we are actually out there and playing our poor little game, no match comparison to professional stuff, but still gives me fulfillment. That's the difference between passive consumption and engagement. So engagement, actually doing it, playing a game, music, dance, when we do it actually, no matter how poorly, it gives fulfillment. That's what Seligman said. Achievement in the world, some kind of achievement in the world, gives happiness and more lasting happiness than pleasure. Okay. Now there is something more, even greater. Seligman found in his studies the greatest source of happiness in the world. He calls it meaning. Something worthwhile, which you consider to be worthwhile. Maybe often it is something beyond ourselves. When we expand beyond ourselves, not just, see, pleasure is selfish. It's almost entirely selfish. Activity can be a little less selfish, but still self-centered. Activity, work, a game, a pastime. But something beyond the self, a selfless engagement, that gives meaning, that automatically gives meaning. A lot of people find it with children. That's why people, Swami, you don't have kids, you're not married, you don't know what you're talking about. Kids are a lot of work. It is true. It is true. But parents also report high levels of fulfillment from just having kids and raising a family. So that's the basic source of meaning in life. That's why people love children. But that's just the beginning. When you expand beyond my own self or my own family, that limits, that biological limits, then a greater source of meaning sets in. Doing something for the community, doing something for people at large, people who need it, that gives a source of meaning. Or it may not be service, may not be other people. It could be science. It could be art, something you pour yourself that gives a source of great meaning to your life. And meaning in life is a greater source of happiness. Very great source of happiness. Often the things which give meaning in life may not be pleasant at all. Can be very difficult, can be very hard. So Seligman's equation, H is equal to P plus E plus M. And remember, they are not equal. P is a little bit of happiness, E is a little more happiness, M is a lot more happiness. And so this is one takeaway. You don't have to go to Vedanta for it. The positive psychology gives us this takeaway. But when I read this, I was immediately reminded of the Hindu view of life. What is it that we want in life? And Hinduism, we all know the formula. We recite it without thinking twice about it. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. 4 goals of human life. Not that you should have these goals. Hinduism, Vedanta says we have it. We instinctively search for that. What are these goals? Kama. Translate, kama is a Sanskrit word. Translate, pleasure. Kama, pleasure. When we are looking for fulfillment, we turn towards pleasure for fulfillment. And that's a goal. People pursue it. Hinduism is not saying that you should pursue it. It's just saying, it's recognizing that we do pursue it. And for fulfillment, for happiness. What else do we pursue? Artha. The Sanskrit word artha can be translated as prosperity, wealth, money, success in life. Artha. In a broad sense, success and doing well in life. And the third thing, that also gives happiness, and people pursue it. You don't have to tell people, be rich. Try it, you must be rich. No, especially here in America. It's a natural goal. People want to be rich. And people, they try for that. They work hard for that. And then they want to be millionaires, and then billionaires, and now a trillionaire. Yesterday, day before yesterday. Trillionaire, yes. Is Elon Musk based in Texas? Yeah, right. So Texas, yes. So that's the goal. Artha. That gives more happiness than kama. Prosperity, success in life. It gives more happiness than pleasure. And then there is something else. Dharma, which is ethics, religion, which gives you meaning and joy and a higher meaning and purpose in life, a fulfillment in life, an ethical life, a good life. People want it. People want to be good people, automatically, instinctively. We would rather be good than bad. So, if these are instinctive, then what does religion have to do with it? You don't have to tell people, be rich and have fun. People want to have fun, kama, pleasure. People want to be rich. So what is religion doing here? What religion does, what Hinduism does, or every religion does is, yes, these are your instinctive goals. Instinctively, we want these things. But what religion, ethics, spirituality can teach us is how to achieve it sustainably within the bounds of ethics, of decency, of morality. Otherwise, an unrestrained pursuit of pleasure makes you an addict. An unrestrained pursuit of money makes you Uncle Scrooge or something like that, so a miser or a Scrooge. No, and that does not result in happiness. If you think the addict is happy, no. Deeply unhappy. If you think the miserly person clutching onto his next dollar is happy, no. Deeply unhappy. And so it's self-defeating. Remember, what was our original goal? We are in pursuit of happiness. In pursuit of happiness, what did we pick up? Pleasure should give me happiness. Money should give me happiness. But now it is not giving me happiness. Indeed, it's making me unhappy. So, religion, dharma, comes in and tries to show us how to be happy, pursuing wealth within what limits of decency and morality. Pursuing pleasure, yes, within what limits of decency and morality. And goodness, dharma. The technical meaning of dharma in Hinduism would be those ethical acts, those religious, secular and religious acts which we perform gives us a lot of good karma so that after death also this party can continue. You can go to heaven. You can party here, and then you can go into heaven and party there. So this is the view, dharma, artha, kama. And that's why in Hinduism we never say kama, artha, dharma. We don't say pleasure, engagement, meaning. We say dharma, artha, kama. Dharma, then this success in life and pleasure, but all within the limits of dharma, on the foundation of dharma. That makes for happiness. At no point is it saying that these are do's and don'ts. No. You want happiness. You yourself say that you want happiness. I'm showing you how you will get happiness. Immediately I mapped it. If you see Seligman's equation, PEM, pleasure, engagement, meaning. Pleasure directly maps to kama. Engagement, you can sort of stretch it, artha, it maps. And meaning and dharma also map. You can sort of match them. So it is a very old insight into our pursuit of human happiness. What thousands of years ago and throughout history, the general understanding of life as the pursuit of kama, artha on the basis of dharma, this modern psychology also, more rigorously, it investigates. And it's worth taking away from the talk. What is your takeaway from this evening? One takeaway is dharma, artha, kama, pleasure, engagement, meaning. Worthwhile. If I'm not happy, if I'm miserable, if things are not going well for me, let me look. Am I running low on pleasure or success in life? Most importantly, am I running low on meaning in life? Meaning in life. This meaning in life is very important. Engagement and pleasure, lower order. Meaning in life, extremely important. Some of the best societies, Scandinavian societies. I was in Finland at one time, a couple of years back, last year, a couple of years back, and then this year, just last month. No, this month. No, it's last month. I've forgotten what month we are in. I was in Sweden and in Norway. Now, I was telling them in talks I gave in Norway and Sweden, you have societies here which in America, when people debate how we can make society better, how we can make our health care better, our education better, these are the societies people look up to. So these are some of the finest societies that humanity has created in the world, ever in history. The highest standards of living, high levels of social consciousness, and a wonderful society, and prosperity. Everything is a really wonderful society. I remember when I went to Finland, in Finnair, they were showing on the TV a documentary about Finland. They said, you're going to the country with the cleanest air in the world, and the cleanest water in the world, and the happiest people in the world. All of them claim to be the happiest people in the world. And so when I went there, I really liked it. It was wonderful. But then after some time, I noticed nobody was smiling. Nobody. So I asked one of my hosts, a young Finnish man, why isn't anybody smiling? And he said that, without smiling, he said, we have a saying among Finnish people that if you see anybody smiling, it must be a tourist. And it's also true that in the most amazing societies, you still have they overcome unhappiness. In one sense, yes. But in another sense, no. No, no, no. There is meaninglessness. There is despair. There is loneliness. I think in the United Kingdom or somewhere, they started a department of loneliness. I don't think it's well staffed. They must be very lonely in the department also. Yeah. So it's a serious mental health hazard. Loneliness, meaninglessness, and leading to high rates of suicide. How can you have the finest society in the world? Whatever we thought about of achieving, reasonably possible to achieve, you have achieved. And still there is unhappiness. How is it possible? I remember this book. There's this professor, Cicela Bock. Very interesting person. She teaches at Harvard University, or at least used to, 5 or 6 years ago in the Department of Education. I don't know. She must be emeritus now. An amazing background. This lady, she's a brilliant professor of, her knowledge in philosophy and education and psychology and sociology, economics, extraordinary. Her husband was the president of Harvard University, also an academic. Her father, just imagine, her father was a Nobel laureate. Her mother was a Nobel laureate. Imagine having both of your parents as Nobel laureates. So imagine the pressure. You're a professor at Harvard University? Loser. Anyway, I never met with her, but I read her book. She wrote a book on happiness, and she says in the introduction, I'm from Sweden. So her father was from Indian, so it's very well known. Gunnar Myrdal is a well-known economist. Those who have studied economics, you have heard about it. So she says, I'm from Sweden, and when I hear Scandinavian countries, they're all happiest in the world, happiest in the world. I say, no. I know my relatives and people from Sweden. They're not at all happy. They're among the grumpiest people in the world. So I said, let me check, let me study this field and see what makes people happy. So she wrote a wonderful book, did investigation into happiness from Aristotle to modern neuroscience. Very learned and very beautiful study. Something higher is necessary. Notice, Seligman stops with pleasure, engagement, meaning. But the Hindu scale of values or goals does not stop there. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Everybody knows this. We say it. There is something more, something higher. And that's where Vedanta comes in. Vedanta has not started yet. I'm almost out of time, I think. But now Vedanta comes in and says, all of this is limited. By all of this, you will get some, if you get pleasure, engagement, meaning, if you get dharma, artha, kama, then you will be less unhappy, more happy. But that happiness is never permanent. It will never be stable. And that unhappiness will never ever go away. It will come back in other forms. Maybe I'm not hungry anymore, but I'm lonely. Maybe everything is perfect for me, but there's nobody and nothing to look forward in life. That's the end of it. When I was in Sweden, one gentleman, Indian gentleman, he asked a friend of his, a Swedish person, why is there decline of interest in religion in Sweden and the other Scandinavian countries? He said that his friend told him that I think usually people turn to religion because they want something. Well, here society provides us with what we want, and so there isn't much interest in religion. And he says, it is only when I find that after designing this perfect society, still we are unhappy. Then one might start investigating spirituality. Then spirituality becomes important. So I think it is sometimes in these, when we look at these perfect societies, you don't have to go to Sweden to understand the importance of spirituality. When we look at these most perfect societies, what we are struggling to establish, there also the case for spirituality, the need for spirituality still remains, because the question of the search for happiness and overcoming of unhappiness still remains. And Vedanta says it is possible. This freedom from this limited state, moksha, freedom, the attainment of true and lasting happiness, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, centered in which the heaviest of sorrows cannot shake you. Whether you are in Sweden or Sudan, it cannot shake you. The heaviest of sorrows cannot shake you. Centered in which and attaining which the greatest of, nothing greater remains to be attained. In Sanskrit, yang labdhva na chaparam labham manyate tato adhikam. There is something attaining which there is nothing greater than that to be attained. You have attained the goal and purpose of human life. There is something being centered in which the heaviest of sorrows. So that means after enlightenment, after Vedanta also, what we consider to be sorrows will keep coming. But you are no longer shaken by them. You have transcended it. And that is the goal towards which we are all moving. Dharma, artha, kama, pleasure, engagement and meaning, preliminary. But we must move on to moksha. Whether we have attained dharma, artha, kama, whether you have attained pleasure, engagement and meaning, and we hope and pray that everybody attains pleasure, engagement, meaning to their heart's content. But after that also the job is not over. I was recently in a dialogue with a noted public intellectual, a scientist and a philosopher, Bernardo Kastrup. Some of you have heard of Bernardo Kastrup? Yes. And he told me, over tea, he told me that, he says, I wish, Swami, I wish everybody could be rich and famous. If everybody can be rich and famous, they will quickly realize these are paltry things. We are chasing them, we are making it the goal of our life. What do you want more than anything else? I want SpaceX IPO. That is my goal. To be rich. And he says, I wish people would get all of that. Then you'll quickly move on to something higher. There is something higher and we need that higher. So suppose we have all of it and then we must quickly move on. I hope we have it. Or if we do not have it, if there isn't much pleasure in my life, if there isn't much engagement in my life, if I find my life meaningless, do I have to wait for pleasure, engagement, meaning, kama, artha, dharma, and then go to moksha? No, 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 no. Go directly towards moksha. Whoever we are, wherever we are, whatever our condition, even if you are pursuing pleasure, engagement, and meaning, don't make that the be-all and end-all of a life. Rather, recognize and let us acknowledge our goal is something higher. Remember, our goal is happiness. The same goal as the child nagging you for a cookie or a chocolate or a candy, and the saint meditating on God. It's just that the saint has a much more wise and sophisticated and sublime idea of happiness. The child has a very crude idea of happiness. But both are pursuing fulfillment. So it is in our own interest. It is in our own project what we are trying to do knowingly or unknowingly. Moksha is the answer we have been seeking. God realization, self-realization, enlightenment is the answer that we have been seeking. Vedanta says that this happiness we are seeking, the insight from Vedanta, Vedantic theory of happiness. We've already heard positive psychology, PEM. We've already heard dharma, artha, kama, moksha. In moksha, Vedanta comes in and says, what is the Vedantic theory of happiness? It is this. This which we are seeking is already within us. Not only already within us, it is us. The seeker is the sought. What the seeker is seeking is the seeker. It's you yourself. Our nature as Atman, Brahman, limitless existence, consciousness, bliss. That is what we are seeking. That we all want to exist. Nobody wants to die. But that's because we are already a Sat, pure being, immortal. We are not born, we will not die as that pure being. Our problem is we're trying to live as this body. One author in New York was being interviewed. Do you want to become immortal in your works, in your books? Do you want to become immortal in your books? He says, no, no, no. I want to be immortal in my Upper West Side apartment. I want to live here. I want to be immortal like this. But he says something which is very, very close to our hearts, whether we say it or not. I want to exist like this. That's because why? Vedanta goes to the heart of the problem. Because we think we are this. That's why we want to prolong this. If I clearly see I am not this, I am something distinct from this. Not only that, that which is distinct from this has no birth, no death, is immortal. Then the birth, aging, and eventual death of the body will be less than nothing to me. Vivekananda says, it's like a dropping of a hair or a piece of nail from you. It's of nothing to you. This one body is going away. Overcome the fear of death. So, our nature as existence, our nature as consciousness, we are limitless awareness, in which appears our waking, dreaming, deep sleep. They come and go. But beyond that, there's a light, a sun which never dims. And that's our real nature, pure consciousness. And we are pure bliss, Ananda. That's our nature. But the thing is, we don't know it. And therefore, we seek it outside. We want it outside. We go around with a begging bowl, give me happiness, give me happiness, give me happiness. The moment we seek happiness outside, it's a deadly mistake. Why is it a deadly mistake? By that very act. I want happiness. From where? From pleasure, from engagement, from meaning. By that very act, I am admitting to myself that I am not happy. I am admitting to myself that I do not have happiness within me. It's somewhere outside. And thus we have deluded ourselves. Vedanta says there is the primordial mistake. You don't need pleasure to be happy. You don't even need engagement or meaning. Meaning you need, but that meaning will be provided by what you are already. So self-knowledge, Vedanta points us back. You must recognize your nature is not that you are happy, your happiness itself, which is manifested as happiness in our minds. So towards that, happiness is within us. There's a story, Sri Ramakrishna narrates this story, that there was a dog which found a bone, a dry old piece of bone, and the dog chewed the bone, and the bone cut its lip, and it bled in its mouth, and it tasted its own blood, and thought how tasty the bone is. The bone is so tasty, and it carefully buried that bone, and whenever it wanted taste, something tasty, it would dig out that bone carefully and chew on that, but taste its own blood and say, this is very nice. Made a mistake. Similarly, what we do is, we generate desires for things in the world. Some of it we generate, a lot of it is generated for us by advertisement. Some of it is primal, coded into our biology. Some of it comes from past lifetimes. It is conditioned, we are conditioned to it. So those are there, stack after stack after stack of conditionings. And they sometimes bubble up. I want this. Sometimes by advertisement from outside, I want, SpaceX IPO, I want that desire. Or I have tasted something earlier and liked it, a cookie. It comes from my memory itself. I would like one more of those. And then I run after it. This desire which is coming up from within, and then I chase after it. This is like the dog with the bone. I am generating it. The psychoanalyst Erich Fromm, who was a disciple of Freud, he said, he was talking about America in the 1960s. He says, today happiness has become a matter of generating tension and releasing it. Building up tension and releasing it. That's what people think happiness is. I will have some desires and I will satisfy those desires and I will be happy. We are like that dog with the bone. The joy which comes, yes, when we get what we want, the joy which comes, we don't recognize. This is Vedanta saying it. Vedanta is saying we don't recognize. It is our own Ananda we are tasting. If it is our own Ananda, why don't we taste it all the time? Because it's obscured by the tensions we set up, by the desires we set up, either now or from our past, from our memories. And our mind, see, it's like reflecting your face in a pool of water. Sometimes you see it clearly. Often you don't, because the pool of water is very delicate. Little gust of wind will set up ripples, and then our face is distorted there. Similarly, if our nature is joy, but the mind is very delicate, even the slightest problem and the slightest desire can distort the reflection of our joy. And therefore what we want is, there is a desire, you satisfy that desire, for a moment the mind is silent and fulfilled and quiet and still, and our natural happiness shines forth. And we said, that thing really made me happy. That activity, that object, that Amazon Prime delivery, it really made me happy. But I had generated that desire, and it obscured my real nature, my nature as Ananda. And when I satisfied that desire, a little bit of happiness came, flashed there. But why is it not constant? Because there are other desires. Desires, unhappinesses, problems, issues, they keep coming and disturbing the surface of the mind, and my nature as spontaneous happiness is broken up again and again and again. And therefore we do not feel happy. Our very nature as the Atman, our very self, Satchidananda, it is Ananda, it is happiness itself. And the great Vidyaranya Swami, who wrote the post-Shankara classic work of non-dual Vedanta, Panchadashi, gives a very unique way of reasoning there. In the first chapter itself, 9th verse, he says, look, the reasoning goes like this. Stuff which makes us happy, we want it. If we don't have it, we try to get it. We have to get it, purchase it, and get it. Or do the stuff which makes us happy. Activities, stuff, objects. And we want to, if we have it, we want to keep it. That which makes me happy, I want to get it, I want to keep it. Or I want to do it, and I want to keep doing it. What makes me happy? What makes me unhappy, what doesn't make me happy any longer, I want to get rid of it. So the characteristic, what do I do with what makes me happy? Acquire it and maintain it. What do I do with what does not make me happy? Get rid of it or avoid it. If it's not there, avoid it. People, activities, objects which make me unhappy, I avoid it. Or if it's there already, I get rid of it if I can. I read about it, there was this Japanese lady, Mary Kondo. She's popular for her advice on simplifying your life. And so I haven't read the book itself, but I read her recommendation. People, especially Americans, have a lot of stuff at home. It keeps on increasing. And she says, how do you simplify? It's very difficult to get rid of your own stuff. She says, here's the rule. Walk around your home touching things, and by touching the thing, if it gives you a little bit of happiness, keep it. If it doesn't make you happy, gives you no happiness or makes you unhappy, get rid of it. So touch it. Go on touching people. Spouses, beware. So if it does not give you a little burst of happiness, you get rid of it. So this is a nice rule, psychological rule. Vidyaranya Swami said the same thing 600 years ago. He says, the stuff which makes us happy, we try to get it and we try to keep it. Stuff which makes, and it can be the same thing. The same iPhone. I really, really want it, and I get it, and I get some happiness. I want to keep it. 1 year later, when the next one comes along, that old one, the same old one, does not give me happiness anymore. I want that one. Now I want to get rid of it and exchange it for the new one. So, what's the point? Then he says, Vidyaranya Swami says, look at yourself, the self, whatever you think of yourself. Notice one thing about it. You never want to get rid of it. Nobody says, let me die. Everybody says, let me live. I want to be. Our self, we want to preserve it. We want to preserve it. Nobody wants to die. Swami, what about suicide? Yes, but it's only under some external influence. I have enormous amount of debt, or the stock market has crashed, or something like that, something terrible. My relationship has gone wrong, and so I want to die. But suppose those problems are removed, your debt is paid off, and the stock market rises, and you make up, or you have a new relationship. Then, if somebody asks you, you are about to die, what happened? Oh no, that's all right. I'd rather live. So it's not our own self which is the source of that I want to get rid of the self. It's the problem I want to get rid of, the unhappiness. Nobody wants to get rid of themselves. Everybody wants to preserve their own self, that I want to continue existing. Now apply the same psychology. That which you keep must be a source of happiness. Because since you want to preserve it so much. The self, everybody wants to preserve the self. Nobody wants to get rid of the self. Therefore, the self must be a source of continuous happiness to themselves. Another bit of reasoning he gives in the next verse, Vidyaranya Swami. He says, not only are you a source of continuous happiness to yourself, you are also the source of maximum happiness to yourself. We just don't know it. Source of continuous and maximum happiness. What do you mean maximum happiness? Here is another piece of reasoning. He says, what gives us happiness, we love. So far we understand. We want to keep it, we love it. Now he says, if something is loved for the sake of another, then that other gives more happiness than the first one. What you love gives you happiness. But if you love one thing for the sake of another thing, you love it so it gives you happiness. You love that, that also gives you happiness. But you love this for the sake of that, then that gives you more happiness. Example, I give always, say, a mother loves the toys of her child, or the books or the clothes her child wore. Maybe the kid has grown up, but you still love it. Why? For the sake of the child. The toy is loved for the sake of the child, because it's my son's or daughter's toy, or clothes, or stuff they use. I remember going to somebody's house, and they showed the young person who was there, the daughter, and they showed, this is her shoe from when she was 2 years old. The daughter's, of course, very embarrassed. She said, I don't remember any of that. It's a little shoe. But why is it loved and kept by the parent? Now let me ask you, does the parent love that shoe more or the daughter more? The daughter, of course. The shoe is loved for the sake of the daughter. If the shoe is loved for the sake of the daughter, whatever you love it because it gives you happiness. The shoe is giving you some happiness. Who is giving more happiness, the shoe or the daughter? The daughter. Because, so the shoe is loved for the sake of the daughter gives more happiness, daughter is loved more. The shoe is loved, the daughter is loved more, and the daughter gives you more happiness because it is loved more. Whatever is loved more is actually giving you more happiness. Ultimately, everything is loved because of the self. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, there's a dialogue between the sage Yajnavalkya and his wife Maitreyi. And says, everything and everybody is loved for the sake of the self. I've given this example about earlier also. It works nicely, a simple example of this young man who had a good job and said, I love my job. Yes, you love your job. For the sake of the job? Yes, I love my job for the sake of the job. It makes me really happy. But you get well paid for it. Now let's give you a choice. You come in to work tomorrow because you love the job, right? Yes, I do love it. But you won't get paid anymore. Or you take the money and you don't have to do the job. Which one would you prefer? So he would prefer, no, I want the money. So the job is loved. I'm sure it gives you satisfaction, but it's loved for the sake of the money. Then suppose you ask that young person, but the money, so what makes you happier, job or money? Money. The money is loved, so you get the money, but you can't spend it. You can't save it, you can't spend it, you can't do anything with it. You have got the money. No. I need the money because of the things it gives me. So, all right, you can have the things, but you can't use them or you can't gift it to your family or somebody. So, no. The things I get with the money, I need it for myself and I need it for the people I love. I need it for my spouse, my children, my relatives and friends. Okay, you can get the stuff you want and you can give it to those people, but it will be to some random family, not your family. No. It has to be for my family, my wife or husband or children. You see, ultimately it comes back to mine. So, what is loved ultimately? The job, money is loved more than the job. The stuff that money buys is loved more than the money. The people you want to give that stuff to, they are loved more than the stuff themselves, the stuff itself. But the people are loved because they are your people. They're connected to you, the self. So ultimately, what is loved most? The self. Now that is selfishness. And that's very natural. It's sort of instinctive to all of us. What Vedanta does is investigate that self and shows us that self, one self, is the self of all beings. It is that it's not the body. It's not the individual being. It is that Atman existence, consciousness, bliss. That takes us immediately from selfishness to selflessness because it becomes the capital S self, the self of all. So the self is the source of greatest permanent happiness continuous happiness, and the greatest happiness. And this self-knowledge is what Vedanta introduces us to. What I am, who am I? For this, spiritual training is necessary. What Swami Ranganathan ji is, that what we saw, the topic, spiritual training of the mind. You notice everywhere, in all those approaches, how it leads to happiness. Karma yoga. See how counterintuitive it is. Karma yoga. Counterintuitive, what we think makes us happy does not. And what we think will not make us happy, that makes us happy. Karma yoga, the basic idea, the counterintuitive idea there is that if we think by working for ourselves, I'll be happy. And Karma yoga tells us that it is working for others which makes us happy. We think selfishness makes us happy. Karma yoga tells us selflessness makes us happy. Altruism gives us deep happiness. The least thing that you have given to others, the money that you have spent for some other great cause for others, always is a source of lasting fulfillment for ourselves. Money that I have spent on myself is, after some time, you either forget it or it's a cause of regret. I have consumed something out of it. Now I wish I had given it to those who needed it more. Altruism, selfless. They said, Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva, serve all beings knowing them to be Shiva. Swami Vivekananda's powerful declaration, my God the poor, my God the sick, my God the illiterate, my God the unhappy, my God the wicked. These and others are the object of my special worship. All beings are the object of my worship, but those who need it most, those who are unhappy and struggling, they are the object of my special worship. And how do you worship God the poor? Not with flowers and mantras, meditating, poor person, homeless person in front of you, please sit there, I'm going to meditate on you. No. You serve by feeding the hungry, by housing the homeless. So that becomes worship. And you see this divinity in all beings, and that worship, counterintuitive. Because why is it counterintuitive? Because it's very instinctive to think, if I spend my time and energy and money on myself, I should be happy. Pleasure, search for pleasure. No. I spend my time, energy, and money on the happiness of others. Amazingly, that makes me much more happy, multiple times happier. Vedanta explains it. Why? Because that is the enlightened selfishness. That is yourself. That is your real nature, this expanded sense of self. The moment we expand beyond the limits of this mind and body, we are closer to our real nature as Ananda. And that's why we feel happier. Then the other spiritual training of the mind, bhakti, devotion. See this church. Devotion, love of the divine. We think a love of 100 things, 1,000 desires in the world, that will make me happy. Generating tension and releasing it. That's the chewing on the bone. That will make me happy. Now, Vivekananda says, take all those desires and turn it into one almighty love of the divine, of God, called bhakti, love of God. It will make you happy. One monk said, you want to be happy now? Yes. And lastingly and deeply happy and joyful? Yes. Unmixed happiness, not mixed with any sorrow or misery? Yes. Then fall in love with God. Fall in love with a human being, that will also give you happiness. But because it's a human being, with all limitations, it will also have a strong component of unhappiness. Fall in love with God, with the infinite, which is your real own self actually. It will give you deep, lasting happiness. Immediately. Bhakti is something which gives us results as happiness straight away. To the extent that we feel love of God in our hearts, you feel happy immediately. Immediately happy. And that's lasting happiness. And it's a very pure and high kind of happiness. Then, third spiritual training. First, selflessness, karma yoga. Second, love, bhakti yoga. Third one, focus, concentration, attention, silence, stillness. Our intuitive feeling is that if I scatter my attention in 100 different ways, I do whatever I feel like doing, I think whatever I feel like thinking, I see whatever I feel like seeing, this freedom of choice which America is built on, this freedom, the individual freedom to do whatever you feel like doing, more or less that freedom is there, that should make me happy. And the highest point of that, the peak of that today is those phones, these mobile phones and internet which we have. Endlessly, our mind can wander around there. As the mind moves, what is the attraction of the internet? I noticed with interest, people were so addicted to television earlier. Television is not there anymore, almost gone. Who cares? And people use television to watch internet there. They project internet on the television. They're not very interested in old television. Some are, but not so much. Why? Why is the internet more addictive? At that time, decades ago, the internet was it's mostly text-based. Still more addictive than television. Why? Because the internet had one thing which television did not. Television was pre-programmed, linear. You have to sit down and watch from beginning to end. The internet, you can jump around as your mind wills. I'm seeing this, there is a hyperlink. You click there, it will take you to another website. You click there, it will take you to another website. Click there, it will take you to another website. And that's how the mind functions. It gets scattered in 100 different ways, jumps like a monkey from one branch of tree to another neighboring tree and so on. And the internet mimics that. That's why it's so addictive. And that continues today with enormous content. Endlessly you can, and so that should make us happy. Distraction should make us happy. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You say, how do you know? Notice. Sit quietly with the phone and browse, scroll. What new name is there? Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling, 1 hour, 2 hours, you can pass your time. At the end of it, do you feel a sense of peace? And your laughter says it all. You feel a sense of disgust. So much time has gone. What did I get out of it? Nothing. And the mind was scattered in so many ways. Scattering the mind, distraction is not joyful. Focus, concentration is joyful. And that is what Raja Yoga, the yoga of meditation, tells us. Focus, attention gives more happiness. Concentration gives more happiness than distraction. So these are the trainings of the mind, and the core remains self-knowledge, that I am Sat Chit Ananda. The source of happiness is not the bone. It only brings out the happiness within. So turning away from this begging for happiness from outside, this attitude, I'll end with this, that when I went to become a monk to the monastery, 1994, more than 30 years ago, there was a very senior monk who was visiting, Swami Gahananandaji, who went on to become the president of the order. So he was visiting. At that time, he was the general secretary of the order. He was visiting. And he saw some young men, like I was there, and some others who had come to be monks. So he called us one evening, and we sat around at his feet. And this very venerable old monk was a man of very few words. You'd be aghast. Some of the senior monks, they don't like this kind of long lectures. I heard once about Swami Gambhiranandaji. He said in Bengali, he was a man of very few words and very precise, vast scholarship, and yet a man of very few words, very precise. He said in Bengali, when he heard the monks 1 hour lecture, what do they speak about? I personally can't, whatever I have to say, I can finish in 15 or 20 minutes. I can't find anything more to say. He would have loved today's TED Talks, Finish it in 20 minutes. In Bengali, he said, "Era eto shob ki bole?" So, within a few words, limited. So the Swami was man of few words, Swami Gahananji, very few words. Just one comment here or there. So he asked, why have you become monks? What do you want? And so we tried to answer as best as we could. Some of us said, I want God realization. Someone said, I want peace. I want to get peace. I want to get God realization. I want a noble and good life. Something like that. So everybody had some kind of answer. That's why we have come here. And his only comment, which I still remember so clearly, a short sentence. Everybody, every one of you has come to get something. Nobody has come to give anything. And I didn't like that answer at that time. I thought, what can we give? We need training. We were going to learn and meditate and, learn Vedanta and practice it. And maybe one day we will have something to give. But what can we give now? No. What he was saying is, this attitude, it's not what you have to give. This attitude, my attitude is, I am not here to get from the world. I really don't need it. I am full. Then what's my relation with the world, with people and life? And I'm here to give what I can. So from that perspective, self-knowledge, your heart full of devotion, your life engaged in service of Shiva in all sentient beings, it becomes a life of giving. Swami Vivekananda said, let all vision cease, or if you cannot, dream but better dreams. If you must dream, then dream but better dreams. What's the best possible dream? What kind of life is the best possible life? What's the best possible dream? He says, eternal love and service free. Unconditional love, unconditional service. Best philosophy of life. That you love whom? Everybody. Why? No why to it. That's your nature, to give love to everybody. Is it possible? Yes, it's very much so. I have seen such people who love without any particular reason or rhyme. There's no cause to that. There's no condition to that. And service, whatever I can do for you, whoever you are, wherever you are, no limit to it. And that's the best philosophy of life. That gives the greatest possible happiness. Our own natural happiness shines forth without condition and cause there. I pray to Sri Ramakrishna, Ma Sharada, Swami Vivekananda. May they bless all of us. May this Ananda, bliss, where we realize our nature as Ananda, that I am that, and may it shine forth in our life, in our activities, in our speech, in our emotions, in our innermost life. May that Ananda be at the core of our being. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Yes, thank you so much. We have a little bit of Q&A. Yes. So please come to the microphones and you can tell us your name and ask the question. Yes, this is live. Please tell us your name and ask the question.
Namaste, Swami. My name is Vinita Salvi. And Prasoon mentioned your trip to Vatican, and I've been curious since I heard you talk about it in one of your earlier sermons as well. What was your experience there? And also, given that Pope Leo is currently in the news because of his encyclical Magnificus Humanitas, can you please tell us a little bit what you think about it in terms of your response? Because it's all about AI, and I know you're interested in this subject.
Yes. So, okay. So the occasion was the 60th anniversary of something called Nostra Aetate. Now, most of us may not have heard about it. What happened was, okay, no more people. I can handle these questions, hopefully, but more than that, we'll be here all night. That's it. It's a freeze on new questions. So, Nostra Aetate is a statement, an encyclical, right? You said the new encyclical released by the Pope. It was an encyclical released by the Vatican 60 years ago. I think 1965 or something like that. Where, for the first time, the Vatican, the Catholic Church, accepted that there is some truth in other religions. So until that time, the idea was that they alone have the sole possession of the truth. Every other religion is a false religion. But for the first time, they said, there's not that all the others, we are still the best, but others have some truth. They are not entirely false. First, it was an outreach to Judaism, to the Jews, and it was because it was a follow-on from the Holocaust, 1940s, Second World War. So if you go there to Rome, Europe itself, but Rome itself, you will see how terribly Jews were treated. There is a Jewish quarter. They took me around, and you get the best tour if you have a priest from the Vatican walking you through ancient Rome, you know. So there's a Jewish quarter. They're shown, there were big gates. All the Jewish people were herded into that. Every evening, the gates were locked. You can't come out of that. And so many persecutions. So the Vatican reversed it. That recognized the truth of Judaism, which is, of course, the religion which came before Christianity and the source of Christianity, and apologized for all the persecutions done to Jews. And there is the big synagogue in Rome, the main synagogue. So I think it was Pope John Paul II. They told us all this history when we were there. We means representatives of different religions. I was representing Hinduism. So Pope John Paul II actually walked from the Vatican to the synagogue to kneel down there and pray there with the rabbi. So as a reconciliation with the Jews, acceptance of Judaism as a true religion, and stopping all attempts not only to persecute Jews, but to stop trying to convert Jews. But why only Jews? So the thing was extended now. What about Hindus and Muslims and Buddhists? So it was extended to other religions. That was Nostra Aetate. Now they're celebrating 60 years. People have forgotten about it. So that's what they did. That's why people from different religions were invited. And now it was started during Pope Francis' time, this effort, but he passed away. And so we have an American Pope, the first American Pope, Pope Leo from Chicago. So he was there, and I got the opportunity to meet with him a couple of times, in public, of course, with so many other. All the delegates were introduced to him. From our perspective, it's a positive step. It's still child's play compared to Hinduism or Buddhism. Sri Ramakrishna's doctrine of as many faiths, so many paths. The truth of every religion from the most ancient times, 5,000 years ago, the position that the Vatican is coming to, that position was surpassed and exceeded 5,000 years ago in the Rig Veda. The truth is one, the sages speak of it variously. Ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti. And so, but it's still, everybody, including us, Hindus, Vedantists, we welcome any movement towards the harmony of religions, the recognition of truth of other religions, not this exclusivist attitude. We are right, everybody else is wrong, everybody else goes and burns in hell. No. Look at this place we are sitting in, the Unitarian Church. What we are talking about in Hinduism, Unitarian Church, as a Christian church, they accepted it fully. And not just now, not just after Nostra Aetate. Long ago, when Vivekananda came, the Unitarians were fully open to different religions, different spiritual traditions of the world. So, very open attitude among Christian churches also. There are groups there. So that was the whole discussion. And people from different religions spoke about it. But what you're talking about is new. It is the new encyclical which came out 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago? Yes. It's the church's view on AI. It was very interesting. Just before that, a few weeks before that, I got have you heard of Claude? Yeah. I got a call from Claude. Few weeks before that, from Anthropic, can we talk to you? And so online, I was interviewed, not for a job. And then they said, would you be willing to come to our headquarters in San Francisco, Anthropic headquarters? We want to speak with you. I said, all right, I'll come. And it's very interesting to see nowadays, I didn't know these things. All the tickets and bookings were all done by AI. AI got in touch with me. I see that you're going to San Francisco. Would you like me to book your tickets? I said, yes. And it showed me all the options, like a travel agent would. And I selected one, and it says, okay, this is it. It bought the ticket, sent it to me, and informed the company, Anthropic, that this is how much you're charged. Would you want a room to stay in a hotel near the Anthropic headquarters? I said, yes. Then showed me the rooms, and he selected one, and then purchased it for me. And very interesting. But I understand now it is very common, that it's not all that new. Anyway, the point of this whole story is, I went to Anthropic, and they had invited, details I cannot give, because they have something called NDA, non-disclosure agreement. They said, we will show you some things, but you cannot talk about it to the world. But the world now knows about it. So things like, for example, the latest developments, Claude's shiny new, the kid on the block, Mythos. They said that they showed us told us about how dangerous it is and what it can do, what harm it can do, and something called the Project Glasswing, where they got big companies together. They told us so many things. They called me, some other people, theologians from different religions, counselors, mental health professionals, things like that. So, and all of it was to train Claude, and some things about AI ethics. And then the stuff we discussed, I'm not at liberty to tell you the name of the people, but I can tell you the stuff we discussed, some of it ended up in the Pope's encyclical. And the person I talked with for hours and hours, and as one of the top people at the founders, one of the founders of Anthropic, I saw in the pictures, he was standing next to the Pope. So Anthropic itself has pushed hard for ethics in AI. They said, we are part of it, and they are at the cutting edge right now. And he said, we are ourselves alarmed by what's happening and what's going to happen very soon, because we can see some of it at least. They're all excited about it, it's wonderful, but they're also alarmed at what is going to happen and what can happen, possibly. So the necessity for ethics, guardrails, and I must admit I was impressed by what they were doing. We were all impressed by the genuine steps that they're taking. But then there's one company, so today we are ahead of everybody else, but it's a race. Within 6 months, somebody else may be ahead, and they may not have these concerns. So society must, it's dangerous. Yesterday I saw the American government has stopped the use of those AIs for anybody outside US. Somebody told me today from Europe, suddenly those versions of Claude are no longer available to us. It's been shut down because of its terrible danger. Humanity. I agree. The Pope said in that encyclical, we are outsourcing our judgment to AI. In little things, every decision, we take advice from AI, and then we do it as AI tells us. Our judgment is informed by that AI. I heard amazing things like, very soon they're thinking of doctors who can be sued if they don't consult AI. We think the opposite. You shouldn't use, if they don't use AI, because AI is giving such amazing diagnosis that if you're a doctor and you have not asked AI, then it's a fault. If you are a lawyer and you haven't used AI, you're going to be sued, or you will not be given the case. Right now, teachers everywhere, in every university, they're alarmed at the use and overuse of AI by kids. If you ask kids, they're all using it. And they all hate it also, by the way. Hate it in the sense they don't like it. All the commencement speakers recently in different universities, they were booed by the graduating students when they mentioned AI. But they're afraid of losing jobs, which is happening, a tremendous amount. So, outsourcing our judgment. Tremendous concentration of wealth, which is already there, trillionaire, that will expand even more with AI. One of the discussions we had, seriously, I thought these are all science fiction. Seriously, they said that, how about, let us ask you, psychologists, people from religion, theologians, suppose there's no work anymore. What will people eat? No, don't worry about that. Everybody will get income. UBI, Universal Basic Income, but you have no work, and you shouldn't work. Because AI will overproduce so much because of AI and things like that. What will happen to the psychology of people? What will happen to the ethics of the community if there's no work, no need to work anymore? So these questions are troubling questions because this has never been, as far as we know in modern society, we have not faced these things. What else? Multiplication of desires. The same advertising generating tension and releasing it, that will multiply many times more when these devices are powered by AI. They will segment the market down to the individual level, to your individual desires. Whatever you desire, they'll offer it to you. I don't have money for that. Okay, I'll give you the money also. Now you buy it? So then what happens to us? So these issues have been raised, and many more, many other issues. Of course, war, acceleration, tremendous acceleration in war. AI will fight the war for you. You stay out of it. Then, so these issues. And very interestingly, so the encyclical came up, and behind the Pope, in some of the pictures, the same gentleman from Anthropic was standing there, in the picture I saw. And just this, nobody knows yet. Just before I came to Dallas, one day before that, an invitation came from the Vatican that there's going to be a new conference where it's a conference sponsored, supported and attended by a huge range of Nobel laureates. So global Nobel laureate conference on AI ethics, sponsored by the Vatican, at the Vatican, in Rome. The letter I got was signed by 6 Nobel laureates. So there's going to be a discussion, and the idea is to at least inform people and motivate people of different religions so that they can take it seriously. Honestly, I don't know where we are going. I found people who are at the heart of these things in San Francisco. It's a crazy city now. It's all AI. I was counting advertisements from the airport to the Anthropic headquarters. I was at 3/4 of the advertisements are this AI, everything is AI. Everybody there is AI. The Uber driver, this gentleman who drove me, a Chinese-American gentleman, he said, I'm a medical professional from San Diego. I gave up my job. I said, why are you driving Uber here? He said, I'm looking for my break into the AI industry. I've got some idea. It's like the new gold rush. Everyone wants to head to Anthropic, or to other companies also in California, and especially San Francisco is like the epicenter of it now. But everybody's excited there, I found, and everybody's a little worried. One thing they told me, it's going to be big. It's already big, it's going to be enormous, but good or bad, we are not sure.
What's your advice though? Spiritual advice.
Spiritual advice? Yeah. So this much I can say, that as a spiritual person, this is what I told them, and I'm telling everybody and telling myself also. Stand your ground as a spiritual seeker. Center yourself in knowledge, in love, in meditation and service. Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raja Yoga. It is at this time that you hold on. Sri Ramakrishna gave the example of a child holding on to a pillar and whirling round and round. Children love it. You hold on to a pillar and go round and round. The dizziness is fun. But they are very careful not to let go of the pillar because they know they'll be hurt. Similarly, Sri Ramakrishna said, in samsara, you go round and round in samsara. That's your life, your relationships, job, whatever you're doing. But hold on to the pillar. Don't let go of it. The pillar is God. Pillar is spirituality. So if you don't like the God word, spirituality. Your devotion, meditation, service, and self-inquiry. Who am I or what am I? You must hold on to it at this time. Light will come from there in the new world which is emerging now. Yes.
Pranam Maharaj.
Oh, I thought he was not there. Yes, please come. Please tell us.
Salutations, Swamiji. Andy Day, working technology. You've actually answered, the queue up for my question is, if you step back, many of us who make a living from technology or purveyors of technology, which has accounted for P and M in our lives, are being forced to worship technology under conditions of fear, trauma, consternation. Embrace it or you fall by the wayside. We're looking at potential redundancy. So how do you get away from worshiping technology, which I liken to almost occult tantra, into worshiping or finding, divinity and moksha amongst us under conditions which are unprecedented in the history of a civilization?
Yes. one thing I told the Anthropic people when they contacted me, I said, why are you asking me? I'm not a technology person. I use AI as an example in my talks on Vedanta, not that I know anything about AI. And they told me, don't worry. We are not calling you to ask you about AI. They are the experts. We'll teach you. One day was spent in teaching us, sort of a high-level acquaintance with, not with the nitty-gritty, not with the technical side of it, but basically a high-level understanding of what AI is, cloud is, and the new generation of AIs are going to be, what it does, how it works, and all that. Yeah. But fortunately or unfortunately, this is the age we live in, and we must rise to the occasion. And my only answer here is, as a Vedanta practitioner and teacher, let that be our source of strength. Let us be centered in knowledge, devotion, in stillness and silence of meditation, and service. Yes.
Pranam Maharaj, my name is Gagan Maur. It's quite evident that to experience the bliss and happiness, as well as to accelerate our path in Vedanta and achieve purity of mind, it's important to build the relationship with God. I do not have, growing up, a background in religion. So now that I have come to this point and I realize I need to form that relationship, my question is, how do you choose a form to connect with? Number two, how do you make it real and actually build that relationship?
That's a very good question. It's a rare question. Most people ask about Brahman, Atman, self-inquiry, non-duality, or AI nowadays. But God, devotion, love of God, that relationship with God, it's a serious question. It's foundational for spiritual practice. Straight one word answer to your question. One word answer. Diksha. One word answer. Mantra Diksha, initiation into a spiritual tradition. It can be done in our tradition, in the tradition of Thakur Ma Swamiji. But Hinduism offers you a whole spectrum. You may come from a community in which God is worshipped in a particular form. Maybe you come from a family in which God is worshipped in a particular form. You may choose to follow that. Or you may choose a form, a lineage of God and get initiated in that. And then worship God in that form. So in our tradition, that would mean Mantra Diksha. Very important. That divinity, which I know ultimately is my own nature, as Atman or Brahman, is, when I regard myself as the spiritual seeker, that divinity becomes the god of religion. This church is built around a god of religion, temples, mosques. That god I establish a relationship with. Yes, there's a matter of faith there, no doubt. But we believe in all sorts of nonsense. So why not believe in God? The one thing which is, you say, I don't believe in all that. We believe, but we are very eager to believe in all the nonsense that is purveyed to us on television by advertisers, politicians, and so on, by conspiracy theorists and so on, the internet. We are happy to believe in all that. Well, why not believe in something which is of great use to us? And if you believe in that, very soon it becomes a reality for you. You begin to see it's not a question of believing in something. It's actually a matter of knowing it. It's actually a matter of a reality. There is a reality behind it. Establish a relationship. A relationship of love and service and worship. I was in Belfast driving through, and a church, I saw this simple message which I loved so much. Simplest of messages. It just said in big letters on the wall of the church, try praying. That's all. Wherever you are, whatever condition we are in, whatever problem we are facing or not facing, try praying and see what happens. First of all, see what happens internally.
Hari Om Swamiji. Near the beginning of your talk, you mentioned about the recent resurgence in studies on consciousness, scientific studies of consciousness. And in my limited understanding, a lot of them are around the emergence of consciousness within brain function. As you look at those studies and look at Vedanta, where is this heading? And will science reach?
So the emergence of consciousness in brain function, there is the crucial thing. So is the brain function producing consciousness? That would have been the materialist mainstream view until recently. But now we begin to see, neuroscience is showing us, we are unable to account for the emergence of consciousness. Brain function ends with brain function. And the conscious being, the jiva, the sentient being, reports consciousness. But there's a gap. This is called the explanatory gap. Where is this neurological activity, tiny masses of electrical activity in the neurons? How does it become consciousness? How? Nothing in this world, everything in this world is objective and there are objective activities. Nothing generates a subject. How would an objective activity generate a subject? One objective activity leads to an objective result, cause and effect. But how can objective causes generate the subject? This is called the hard problem of consciousness. The idea was, until very recently also, and even now, mainstream still holds, we will somehow be able to account for consciousness by brain activity. Brain activity produces consciousness. That's a generally held idea. And that is what is being challenged now. In 1998, Christoph Koch, one of the leading neuroscientists of the world, at that time he was a much younger person, and there was David Chalmers, one of the leading philosophers of mind in the world, at that time again a younger person. They had a debate. Christoph Koch challenged that within 25 years, our neuroscience is advancing so fast, within 25 years, we will find out the markers of consciousness, brain activity, which brain activity is producing consciousness. And David Chalmers says, you cannot. Without knowing anything about neuroscience, he says, I can challenge that you cannot because you are making a category mistake. I'm sure you will learn more and more about neuroscience, about the brain, but that will not explain consciousness. So they had a bet. And the bet was the loser will give a case of wine to the champagne to the winner. 25 years passed, they had forgotten about it. Last year somebody reminded them, hey guys, 25 years have passed, 2024 actually, somebody reminded them 2 years ago. What happened to the bet? So they met again in New York University. At the beginning of the conversation, Christoph Koch stood up and said, we have lost. 25 years have passed, and as expected, neuroscience has progressed quite a bit in the last 25 years, but we are no closer to understanding what produces consciousness. How does consciousness come about? We have no idea. So I hope he gave a case of champagne to David Chalmers. But that opens up the field that certainly the brain has something to do with it. Does that mean we should stop doing neuroscience? No, for two reasons. One is, neuroscience makes us understand the brain, and so many problems related to the brain and nervous system we can solve and we can help people. Second, even consciousness studies. Clearly the brain has something to do with consciousness, even if it is not producing, even if we can't explain consciousness through brain, but it has something to do with consciousness. So we should keep on doing neuroscience. It will help us in consciousness studies. But whether consciousness is produced by the brain or it is an independent reality, Vedanta would say it's an independent reality. It may act through the body and the brain, but it's not a product of the body or the brain. That's the debate which is going on now. Yes.
Dandat Pranam, Swamiji. So my question, and I have trouble understanding this, out of the 4 states of consciousness, in reality, what is the Turiya state like? And practically, how does one get there?
Yeah. The answer to that is, the 4 states of consciousness she mentioned, waking, dreaming, sleeping, and what she called the Turiya. Vedanta calls it the Turiya. The Sanskrit word Turiya just means 4, 4th. Waking 1, dreaming 2, deep sleep 3, 4th Turiya. Now the first thing to know is Turiya is not a state of consciousness, according to Vedanta. Waking, dreaming, sleeping, these are states of consciousness. If you're high on something, that's also a state of consciousness. If you're meditating and getting alternative experiences, mystical experience, that's also a state of consciousness. Those are states. Turiya is consciousness itself. It's not a state. A state can come and go. One state is different from another state. The example I love which explains this paradigm is gold and ornaments. The same gold can be made into a necklace. And you can melt it, make it into a bracelet. You can melt it, make it into a tiara or earrings or something. Now, a bracelet, a necklace, and a tiara are different from each other. But they are all the same gold. And the gold is not a new kind of ornament. The gold is the reality of those three kinds of ornament. So the gold as such is not a fourth. It's not that number 1 necklace, number 2 bracelet, number 3, number 4 there is something called gold. No, not like that. What is the gold? It is that material. It is that reality which you are experiencing and using and calling a necklace or a bracelet or a tiara. Similarly, Turiya is not a new state of consciousness, not an alternate state of consciousness, not something mystical and extraordinary state of consciousness. No. It is that which is experienced as various states of consciousness. Vedanta says, Turiya is that which in the waking state, you the waker and your waking world, Turiya appears as all of this. It's like the bracelet. When you fall asleep, this world disappears from your perspective. This body also disappears from your perspective. You, the waking person, you also disappear from your own experience. But something continues, and a dream world arises. A world of dreams, and you are yourself there in your dreams also. That's like the bracelet, for example. And then everything stops, deep sleep. No subject, no object, nothing is experienced outside, nothing is seen or heard, nothing is remembered, imagined, nothing is dreamt. That blankness is also a kind of experience. It's not an absence of experience, it's an experience of absence. And if it's an experience, then there must be some state, some consciousness there. Something must be there which is experiencing. So that one reality, you can compare the deep sleep to a tiara or something. Now what is the gold here? What is that which is appearing as the waker and the waker's world? What is that which is experienced as the dreamer and the dream world? What is that which is experienced as the subject-objectless blankness of deep sleep? So that one thing, it must be one thing, because you claim, I was awake, I dreamt, and I slept. What is the real nature of that I? It can't be this waking I, because it disappears in dream. It can't be the dreaming I, because that disappears when you wake up. It can't be the blankness of deep sleep. What is that underlying thing which appears as those three? That's called the Turiya. And it can be best classified or described as existence consciousness. How does one get there? The answer from Vedanta is you are already there. You are it. It's like the necklace asking, how does one become gold? You are gold. You are nothing but gold. Similarly, you are Turiya, right now appearing as this person and her world. Then, but you see, that's very nice to know, but I don't know it. If you don't know it, the answer is obvious, knowledge. And knowledge comes from inquiry, and Vedanta is inquiry, self-inquiry into what am I? Who am I or what am I? That's all of it. That's all of Advaita Vedanta, Jnana Yoga. Yes.
Swamiji, it took 4 years for me to see you in person. So glad.
There's a story about it. I went to our main monastery in India after a gap of several years, and there were a lot of young people who had come to become monks whom I did not know. They saw me for the first time, I saw them for the first time. And one young person, a monastic novice, he comes up to me and he says, I'll tell you in Hindi what he said originally, very jolly person. He comes up to me and he says that, at last my YouTube spiritual practice is completed. You have appeared before me. But it's funnier in Hindi. He said to me, आज मेरा YouTube साधना समाप्त हुआ, पूर्ण हुआ, आप प्रकट हो गए. Yes, please go on.
My name is Sanjay, and whenever we ask any question, so you will answer is usually, you are that, you are Turiya, you are the bliss, and all. But if you look at today's topic is happiness, so let's take the happiness. There are so many people are very unhappy for very valid reasons. I'll take one. Hope I won't cry this. I know a kid at 6 years. He's blind and he's full autism. I saw that kid just roaming around, drooling. And we say, the answer is karma. I don't know whether karma is or not. But if we believe in karma, that's all. I mean, he did something wrong. That's why he's rolling and rolling. But some people picked it up and said, no, hell not. And they fought for it. Of course, science developed. And this kid graduated. I cried literally. So if we believe in karma, probably we will be stuck in there. Right? So how, if you take this kid, he will never see himself. Right? He can't see the world. He can't understand many things.
Okay, so what's the question?
How could we realize? Like, how does this karma? I feel like we take the shield of karma to the questions that we can't answer.
So that's a wrong interpretation of karma. You're right. Vivekananda said, if it is true that it's somebody's karma to suffer, then what is your karma? To help. What is our answer to the suffering of humanity? As Vivekananda said, my God the poor, my God the hungry, my God the sick, my God the illiterate, and my God the wicked. How difficult it is to worship the God like that. Worship God in a temple is actually much easier. To worship the sick God, the God who is sick. Try to serve a person who is old and sick, very difficult. Try to bring up an autistic child, very difficult. So that worship. Now the way to make it much easier and fulfilling and helping your spiritual progress, and maybe theirs also, is to spiritualize it. To see that divinity is appearing in this form before me. And my worship is service. Medical service, economic service, educational service. So that should be the proper understanding of karma. Karma should be an arena, a platform for our spiritual growth. Not fatalistically saying, oh, it's your fault. No, that's cruel and that's self-serving. Very difficult for us to apply to ourselves also. In the Bible, there is a story of Job. Job? Yeah. And long story short, it's a long piece. But there, he's tested. Satan comes to God and says that they love you because of the things you give them. But they will not love you if you take away those things. And God said, no. This Job is, for example, one example is this Job. Well, he loves you because you have given him so much. You can test him if you want. And Satan says, okay, I will test him. And so Job's children die, his lands are taken away, his servants are killed. And he falls weeping. It's not that he is a yogi and floating above all his sorrows. Oh, it's all right for me, nothing for me. No, he is deeply unhappy. He's weeping and wailing. But the one thing he says at that point is a great answer to all of this, the question of sorrow and suffering. What did he say? The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken. The Lord hath taken. The Lord has taken what he has given. This recognition, if we can actually recognize, nothing here belongs to us, nobody here belongs to us. Everybody, everything, every little thing, even the ability to raise one finger, is given by God at every moment. It belongs to God, this universe, everything in this universe. Now, how can I complain about something that is not mine? If it is God's, then it's up to God to do with it what he wants. He wants to do terrible things with it. Terrible. Why are you complaining? The Lord has given, the Lord has taken. He's not denying his suffering. He's crying. And then Satan goes to God, and God says, see, he still worships me. And then Satan says, everybody is very fine when their own skin is okay. He is physically all right. When disease comes, old age comes, we'll see. So God said, all right, test him, but don't kill him. Then Satan gave, the description is there, weeping sores all over his body. And there's a description of him sitting there, Job, crying, his sores, sitting there with a broken piece of pottery, scratching the sores and sitting there. And then his friends come. And it's a description, they're so shocked at his suffering, they sit quietly with him, not knowing what to say. But then there's a conversation between Job and his friends. There these issues come up. His friends give different theories. One of his friends says, God is just. So there's no karma theory as such in the Bible, but it's a language of reward and punishment. So God is just. God punishes the wicked. You must be a wicked fellow. That's why you're getting punished like this. That's one answer. And Job weeps. He says that I don't know. I have never done such things. Why should I be punished? And finally, the answer comes from God himself. Job says, I must ask God why this has happened to me. But the answer is also no answer. If you look at the answer, if you go to the book of Job and see, God appears as a whirlwind. You know here, tornado. So as a tornado, God appears. And shows Job the inconceivable, unbelievable power of God. Something like the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Like Krishna says, like 1,000, in the Gita says, like 1,000 suns rising in the sky at once. The incredible presence and power of God, which is incomprehensible for human mind. Basically, the answer, there's no direct answer there. The answer seems to be, you can't understand. It's impossible for you to understand. You may say, I don't believe in such a God. You may say. But God's answer is that. You are nobody to ask, number one. And number two, you can't understand. Very interesting, Sri Ramakrishna was once asked somebody that if God exists, why is there so much suffering? If God exists, why is there so much suffering? He gave 3 answers, very beautiful answers. The first answer was exactly this answer. He said, how can we understand the ways of God? At first, I used to think he was bypassing. That's not an answer. But I saw in the book of Job, that is the answer given by God, by Yahweh. That's the answer given. You can't understand. And then maybe that is the final answer. Maybe it's true. We sort of assume we'll be able to understand. AI itself we can't understand. Yes, I was introduced. Though you are technical people, many of you are computer people, you understand, you know these things much better. There's something called a new science of interpretability, AI interpretation. So I was introduced to a gentleman who's the pioneer there, a pioneer of AI interpretability. Because they say we can't understand, not God, Claude. We can't understand Claude. So we are investigating. Why is it doing things like that? Why is it doing certain things they showed us? God, we can't understand. That's one answer. What is the other answer? Second answer is Leela. It's the play of God. The gentleman who asked the question to Sri Ramakrishna says, it's play for God, but it is death for us. As you said, the child who is suffering. It is death for us. What kind of God is that? It's a play for God, it's death for us. Third answer, Sri Ramakrishna says, and who are you? Who are you? We don't even know who I am. I am the one who's suffering, but who am I? What am I? What is that child actually? In depth, if you look there, just the body? Just the impaired brain, nervous system, that one? Or is it a mind in there? There's a mind in there. Is it something further deeper in there, deeper than the mind also? Yeah. Who are you? 3 answers. First, answer to Job, incomprehensible. Take it seriously. Maybe we are nobody to ask. One day Claude will, or some AI will tell us, who are you to ask? And then second, the danger in this AI again, what is called the gradient. It's a slippery slope. Right now, we are all doing it. We are taking advice from AI. Your choice, your ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever it is, you're taking advice. And we are often acting, because it gives good advice. Next, AI will get the power of doing things. So it will ask us what we want to do, and it will do it. Third, next level will be, it will not even ask us. It will decide on our behalf. So it will treat humanity like you treat your little toddlers, children. You decide, because you say, I know better, I'm the parent, I'm the mom, I'm the dad, I know what to do with the child. AI will say the same thing for not one person, for a whole of humanity, for entire nations, organizations. I can't tell the names, but one company, they were saying, the IT people, what jobs AI can replace. So what about CEO, the head of that company? And they said, yes, actually it can, our CEO is such a useless fellow. We can see one generation of AI coming in 1 or 2 generations, which can do this job better actually. So that may be coming, who knows? And now think about understanding the ways of God. Next. 3 answers. Incomprehensibility, the play of God, and who are you? Who are you is the Advaitic answer. Who am I? Yes.
My name is Harshvardhan. And I always wonder how difficult it is for you to explain about something that you cannot talk about. So I always wonder about it. And my question is it common after getting all this Vedantic knowledge to feel like you cannot question anything? Like it feels like you're questioning the questioner. Like you become, like you don't have any questions to put. So is it common?
Okay. All good. This is rare. Nobody has put it this way. That how difficult it must be to talk about something which can't be put in language. But actually, I'll give you 2 answers for that observation. That was not your question, but 2 answers for that observation. One is, yes, it can't be put in language. But luckily we have all this language, this Vedantic literature, which is doing precisely that. That which cannot be directly expressed in language, still using language to somehow convey that message. And there are many strategies, like parables, like the language of contradiction, the language of implication, the language of the negative, neti. If you cannot say what it is, you can at least say what it is not by neti. And then you can catch it. The person is expected to catch it. So language can be used to show or point out, even if it cannot be used to say directly what is Atman or Brahman. The second reason why we are able to teach it and talk about it is the real reason. It's because it is you. It is I. So it is obvious to me, it is obvious to you. Now it's up to you to devise what strategy you can to convey it to somebody else to whom it is not obvious yet. So these are the 2 reasons. One, the existing Vedantic literature or the literature of the world. I was reading a beautiful text by a Sufi, a Muslim, Islamic Sufi scholar, one of the greatest teachers. How beautifully he puts it. It's thrilling. He says, what is the essential truth? God alone exists. There is no one with him. And it has always been so, and it always will be so. How interesting. Right now, what is he saying? God alone exists. And nothing else. All of this which we are seeing, his answer to all of that is, God alone exists here. You may try to make it a little easier by saying, oh, God has become all of this. God pervades all of this. But he is very strict there. No, all of this. God alone exists. And there is no one with God. What a stark way of putting it. If you look at it from an Advaitic perspective, it's thrilling. God has not come from anything. Nothing has come from God. That's the end. Nothing more to say. God has created this universe. No, nothing has come from God. Interesting. So this, not only Advaitic literature, in Islam, in Buddhism, in Christianity, Meister Eckhart, if you read, you feel like you're reading Advaita Vedanta. So it's there, this non-dual literature in all different spiritual traditions of the world, but very prominently in Advaita Vedanta. It's there. So it helps us.
So all Nisargadatta, I am there, everything is pointing to the same thing, same consciousness, one consciousness. Right?
And when you say about, finally, at this point, do you have any more questions? No fundamental questions anymore. You are right. There's nothing left to ask. All questions have come to an end. However, what's the time now? What's for dinner? Is the flight on time? These things you can still ask, but otherwise, and even the answers to that do not matter. Yes, that's true.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.